Welcome to episode 2 of the JC Mosley FC podcast. My name is Elliot and I am here in person today with my good friend Christian. How are you today, Christian?
I'm doing good, Elliot. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. We are coming off of the disappointment of the FA Cup semi-final. Chelsea just lost 1-0 to Man City. We'll talk more about that later, but we're both kind of disappointed. So we're ready to talk about teams other than our team for a bit.
Absolutely. But as you can see, we're still Chelsea fans no matter what.
Yeah, of course.
But anyways, today we're here to talk about the Champions League. We're gonna go over what happened, with the quarterfinals. We're gonna go over our predictions, and then we'll be also talking about the semifinals that will starting in about 10 days from now.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk briefly about the Club World Cup that's coming in summer 2025 as well. Chelsea's qualified for that. Thanks to winning the Champions League in 2021. Again, we'll get to that later. But why don't we go ahead and start off with the review of the Champions League.
Pretty much, it's been very entertaining, honestly. I was very surprised. I don't know if you remember, I said that Atletico Madrid against Dortmund, it would have been like a very close game.
Yeah.
Low scoring, but all the games were great. We had a lot of goals, so I think they were really fun. But obviously, we're gonna start with Bayern against Arsenal, which we predicted it right,
Yeah, I think we did, but and I know we both said it was going to be closer than the last time those two teams played each other. I feel like I came across as very much an Arsenal hater in the last podcast, which, if I'm being honest, is probably true. But we do have to acknowledge it was a great performance from Arsenal. I think for them to, get the 2-2 draw at home and then to only just lose 1-0 in Munich. I mean, that they did themselves proud. It was a good performance, I think, over the two legs. But in my opinion, I feel like we saw the experience of some of those Bayern players who have been there and done it before at that stage of the Champions League, versus Arsenal, maybe still a little inexperienced at that stage of European football, and it's just different to the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. I think I predicted that part where I said Arsenal will put a good fight. It's a big Arsenal, like top 4 Arsenal, fighting for the title Arsenal. So I wasn't surprised with the performance. They did really well. They drew at home, and it was a very close game. But I kind of predicted that it was Bayern Munich, and the Champions League is a mindset. It's like the big teams just have that mindset that they can win, they can beat anybody, they can go to the semifinals. So at the end of the day, Bayern Munich did what they had to do. They didn't comfortably win like they used to 5-1 against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But they did the job, and that's at this stage you don't care how you go through as long as you go through.
Right.
I was very surprised how Bukayo Saka, he did a pretty good job in the first leg, I think, but then after that the second leg was pretty much goes to the game.
Yeah, the first leg he scored that very good goal, kind of cutting in from the right and bending it around Neuer. It was a good finish, and he impacted the game definitely in that first leg. But the second leg, it's just Arsenal didn't quite turn up in the way that maybe people expected that they would. They did just lose to Aston Villa in the title race, a crucial title race game. So do you think that would have had an effect on their performance and their mindset?
I think a little bit. Whenever you have, I feel like they were winning. I don't know exactly how many games in a row they won. They were just winning and winning. They were beating everybody they were playing against, and then all of a sudden you lose such a big game against Aston Villa in a title race, and then you're not anymore leaders anymore, or like co-leaders of the league, so it can affect you. But at the end of the day, it was Bayern. They just play against Bayern Munich, a team that is used to playing at this stage. Players that have won the Champions League on that team. I think a couple times too. Like Neuer has won it a couple times.
Yeah, Thomas Muller as well.
Yeah,
he's still part of that squad, even if he's not starting as much as he used to.
Yeah, so it's just Bayern Munich. It's the DNA to be in the Champions League, and Arsenal, they're just back after 7 years. That's almost a decade.
Yeah.
So they go to the quarterfinals. I think they should be proud of themselves. And then they can just build on that, you know, for the next seasons and try to go further.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty. I mean, as you remember, like Kimmich header, like I mean, it's just things that happen. As I told you, the basics at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like he was unmarked, he was just running in, and yeah, it was a really good game. 2-2 at the Emirates and 1-0 at the Allianz Arena.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah, it was just that one moment of slightly switching off defensively and allowing the free header, and that's what ended up deciding the game. I mean, the second leg, from at least what I can remember, we're a few days out from it now, but from what I can remember, it was not the most exciting game that we've seen in the Champions League, we'll put it that way. And you know, Arsenal's still very much in the title race as we're recording this. I mean, you know, by the time this is out, or by the time we get to the end of the season, that might be very different. But I think, you know, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I would be happy that, you know, we've made significant progress in where they would have come over the last few years. You know, 2 seasons in a row now challenging for the title. You could have said last season was a fluke, but the fact that they've managed to do it again this season shows that it's not. And you know, obviously Bayern not winning the Bundesliga is a huge surprise, but I wonder if that was almost more motivation for them in this Champions League tie, because it's kind of all that they have left to play for this season.
Maybe it's the Harry Kane curse. Like everybody's like, after so many memes on social media, man, about Harry Kane. But again, you know, 10 years in a row, it's a huge. Like, is it 10 or 11 years?
I think it was 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, come on, like eventually it was gonna stop. And you know, unfortunately for Harry Kane, whenever he joins the team. But I felt like it was definitely a big motivation for them, because they're like, okay, we don't have the Bundesliga, we don't have the Copa, we don't have anything, we just have the Champions League now. And then Tuchel last season, he's leaving the club no matter what. So I feel like, you know, there was a lot of motivation behind them, and then, you know, they haven't won in that standards. They haven't won the Champions League in 4 years, so that's like a lot for them, you know. So they're trying to come back and win it again. So that's definitely a team to watch, Bayern Munich. You know, they only have 3 games now in the Champions League, so anything can happen in 3 games. They can be like terrible in the Bundesliga all they want, but if they come and like put performances in the Champions League, they can win it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so you think you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on to Real Madrid and Man City. I mean, that first leg was an incredible game of football.
And that's the thing, like, yeah, the first leg was crazy, but the second leg was also amazing.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing about, you know, us, we watch the sports, not just for goals, but you also have to look at how the game unfolded. Like, wow, it was an amazing game. I don't even know where to start from. The very early goal from I think it was Rodrigo.
Rodrigo in the second leg, yeah.
And then Manchester City came back towards the end of the game, and it went all the way to PKs, but the game was very intense. Manchester City dominated the game from the very beginning to the end. But they were not able to finish. Yeah. Yeah, and even Haaland goes to the game. I'm just like, I mean, a lot of people have been saying how Haaland goes like big games. He scored against smaller teams. I mean, I don't really necessarily agree with that, but definitely that time he did. He goes to the game. Yeah,
I think he didn't. I don't really recall that he had too many big chances, although he did in that second leg have the header that kind of came off the crossbar and bounced back out. That's the one that I can remember. I might be forgetting another one too, but yeah, I mean, those are the kind of games that you need your expensive or, you know, top players to turn up in. Yeah. And he just wasn't quite at it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was kind of surprised and disappointed by his performance, but I guess Rudiger like pocketed him the whole time.
Yeah.
You know? From the very beginning, like Rudiger is just that's just a player that you want on your team in those nights, because he's gonna give everything. Yeah. And he's gonna be aggressive, and that's the thing. I feel like a lot of defenders nowadays are just too soft. They're like, you know, did I hurt you? I'm sorry. Yeah. Like back in the day, remember Vidic? Yeah. That guy was like, he didn't care who you were. he will break your leg if he had to.
It's put your body on the line
Yeah.
for the team kind
Even
of
John
defending.
Terry.
Yeah.
Like that guy, he wasn't messing around. Like you want to go in front of him, he's gonna put you down.
And he's gonna throw himself on the floor and get kicked in the face before he lets you past him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like, not obviously we still have to lose his defenders, but like a defender like Rudiger, that's the kind of defender that can stop Haaland from scoring.
Yeah.
He's been brilliant. Both legs, he stopped Haaland from scoring.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think we were right about how close the game was gonna be. It's gonna go to. I think we predicted like either extra time or and PK.
We did say that, yeah.
So like the fact that it actually happened that way is kind of. That means we know the sport really well, right?
Yeah. I think it was clear Real were playing for penalties towards the end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. They have the experience it takes to be able to go to penalty kicks and win it. And it's all about mindset. The club has won 14 Champions Leagues. They have they're not scared of anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's their league. I feel like we should just rename that Champions League like Real Madrid League at this point, because like they still have multiple Champions League winners on that team.
Yeah.
Right. And like I don't know if you remember Lucas Vazquez, how he juggled the ball before the penalty kicks. He was just like, come on, man. Like. I don't want to say any bad words here, but like he had the guts to be able to just do that and like, okay, it's just a penalty kick. I don't care if it's it's the Champions League. I'm gonna score this one. He didn't care, and you can see on that team how confident they were. Even though Modric lost, even though like when Modric missed the penalty,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can look at those players, they still believe they could win.
Yeah.
Any other club would just freak out, be like, oh
Yeah.
my god, he missed the penalty. But like from the goalkeeper to the coach on the bench, they were like, oh, it's fine, whatever. We can still win this. And that's what's special about them. But the PKs like Bernardo Silva, I know it looked like it was a terrible PK, but it was actually a really good one. I feel like he knew that he was gonna shoot in the middle.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier, off camera, of how I've seen a lot of memes and things on social media too about it. Of it was a bad penalty and whatever, but. We've seen, I think the goalkeeper took a gamble and stayed in the middle, didn't move, and it worked out for him. Maybe a little bit harsh on Bernardo Silva to blame him for the loss, because penalties, it's just a lottery in the end. Like it's really a horrible way to settle a game.
Yeah, it's all about luck, penalties, because at the end of the day, the best takers miss, so you can be like, okay, it's just because the team has better penalty takers. That's not possible. I feel like it's luck at the end of the day. If the goalkeeper can be on his best day, or a great goalkeeper can be terrible too, and just like not stopping him.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we kind of predicted this. I knew it was gonna be very close, probably to the penalty kicks and extra time. So it happened, and unfortunately for Manchester City, it didn't go their way. But they dominated the game. They had all the chances in the world. But again, it's Real Madrid, so I'm really not surprised that they didn't manage to get it done.
All right, so moving on. Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund we have on the list, but PSG Barcelona is the one. Before that on my list, I'm reading my list wrong. That one was a great game as well. They were all really great ties. Mm-hmm. This was a really, we know what we're talking about. I said before the game when we were predicting it last time, I could see there being a lot of goals in this game. 3-2 in the first leg, 4-1 in the second leg. I've got to get some credit for my prediction there, right?
Yeah, definitely. And also we predicted that Mbappe was going to be the factor. Obviously I feel like Dembele probably was the number one man on that team, but Mbappe, a penalty, very crucial penalty that he had to be him that was going to take that penalty.
Yeah.
And he scored a goal too that just concluded everything for PSG. But yeah, it was a very close game at the end. At least the first for the longest part, because I feel like Barcelona will have a lot of regrets because they pretty much dominated the first game they won at the Parc des Princes. They won there 3-2. So which is like I really didn't see that coming, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
thought maybe
surprised
they were gonna like tie the game or lose there.
Yeah.
And then they scored at home pretty early. They had the game completely. I felt after that goal, I was okay. I don't see Barcelona win and lose. Sorry, the tie. I felt like maybe okay, PSG was definitely gonna fight back, but I felt at the end of the day because of that advantage, they won at home and they're winning at home. They won away from home. They're winning at home. That they were definitely gonna win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then that red card, man, that's stupid red card. Like, why was he thinking? I mean, come on.
Do you think Barcelona have any reason to be upset by that decision, or do you think that was the right decision?
Oh yeah, that was the right decision. I feel like obviously the PSG player was very smart on how he handled it, but it was a clear foul, and it was a red card. He was the last defender.
Yeah,
it was that's the rule. You know,
it was a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, clear.
Right after that, I mean, I agree. I don't think there's any reason to overturn that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like you go, like you cannot put yourself, especially a player with that experience, you cannot put yourself in that position. You know, okay, sure, he outran you. I want to not say let him score, but don't foul. You have just make it hard for him to score. And if he scores, it's fine. You guys are still ahead by 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah.
You know, you can still win the game. You had control. I mean, not control of the game. Still, PSG was the better team at that game. Let's be honest. But you were already in that. You were playing at home. Come on, don't give a red card like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the game just like collapsed. And at that moment, I knew that PSG was gonna go through. I just had that feeling. I was like, okay, because of Barcelona history of collapsing whenever things don't go their way. You know, like remember in 2019. Whenever they scored, that's how they lost to Liverpool.
Yeah, they were 3-0 up after the first leg, and then they lost 4-0 in the second leg.
Yeah, like you know, come on, they started freaking out after 2 goals. They're like, oh my goodness, everything's collapsing.
Yeah,
come on,
yeah,
be strong. You know, you guys have a huge advantage, and that's kind of what happened again. You know, I felt like they were gonna collapse because that's just how Barcelona has been the past few years, and PSG did the job. You know. They did what they had to do, score goals and take advantage of like the fact that there's a red card. So that's what they did.
I agree. I think, you know, there was some talk about Xavi and his reaction and him getting himself sent off by kicking some of the advertising boards as well, and you know, after the match kind of complaining about the refereeing. But I think I don't know. I think really like what you were saying. I mean, Barcelona had it in their grasp. They were 4-2 up on aggregate at the beginning of that game, and you know the red card changed things. It was the right decision. I get that Xavi's not gonna be happy about that. I wouldn't be if I was the manager of Barcelona. But you know, I think we have to give credit to PSG as well, coming back from being behind in the first leg too, which I think was a big surprise for everybody. You know, I don't think we were really expecting Barcelona to win at Parc des Princes, like you said. So, yeah, great tie. And I think over the 2 legs, do you think PSG deserve to be through?
I mean, it's hard to say because I mean they definitely deserve because they won, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like the red card really helped them a lot because I mean I still believe that if there was no red card, I don't think that PSG would have gone through. To be honest, because Barcelona had the game handled. Even though PSG was dominating, I feel like they were playing really well. I mean, I watched the first few minutes of the game. I watched the whole game, but the first few minutes of the game was, you know, it was like PSG was trying, but Barcelona had control of the game, and then with that extra goal, and then at that point of time, I didn't see PSG scoring 2 goals and then scoring 3 goals and winning the tie. You know, maybe they were gonna be like 2-2 and go to penalty kicks, but I still believe that Barcelona had the game handled. To be honest, unfortunately for them, they had that red card. And then even after that red card, come on, you still high ahead by 2 goals.
Yeah,
like park the bus, and I feel like they were not doing that. They just will keep attacking, and you know, just park the bus, man. Just play 10 against them. You have 2 goals ahead. This is your best luck against PSG, and then PSG just took advantage of it. They scored 3 goals, 4 goals in 1 game, and you know.
I think, like you said, Barcelona will have some regrets if things had gone differently, they probably would be through. But
yeah, and now they lost Xavi now. I mean, Xavi's about to leave. I mean, unless things change last minute, but he's still saying in press conferences he's leaving.
Yeah.
And I really don't. I mean, I really have a bad feeling for Barcelona. I feel like they're gonna struggle for a few years because their financial situation is still not good. I heard that they're not able to fill up the stadium.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 75%. And remember, Camp Nou was always full when Messi was there, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a different era for Barcelona, and I think again, I think they've had a couple of good seasons after having a really tough time after Messi left, and some of the issues with the ownership and whatever else they've been through. Xavi coming in, kind of steadying things, winning the league with them last season, and this season getting them to a Champions League quarterfinal again. It's similar to Arsenal maybe in a sense of how they kind of dipped in form and had a couple of good years. I mean, albeit shorter period of time than Arsenal.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I think they can be proud of how they've kind of come back and they go again next year. I mean, they've clearly got the makings of a good team. PSG are not an easy team to beat, so to beat them at home and to pretty much the reason that you didn't beat them over the two legs was shooting yourself in the foot with a silly red card. I think if you look back, give it some perspective. I think they can overall be pleased that they're back in the Champions League and kind of heading in the right direction.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Champions League. You cannot win every time. Like there's only one team can win. It doesn't matter. So could have you imagined like 10 years with Barcelona winning the Champions League 10 years ago? I would not have believed you.
I mean, they were so dominant to think that they would go this long without winning it.
Yeah,
was unthinkable, really.
Yeah, really unthinkable.
So yeah,
we'll see what happens. Do you want to go move on to the last tie?
Yeah, we'll take a look at Atletico Madrid and Dortmund. Again, another one that I think surprised us a little bit, or surprised me at least. I mean, I think we saw Atletico go 2-0 up in the first leg, and I think at that point I thought, they're through, they're gonna win that tie because they've got the experience, they've got the coach that has proved that he can do it, and I at 2-0 up, I couldn't really see a way back into the game for Dortmund, but then what I think was a crucial goal in the tie was Sebastian Haller's header late in the first leg. I think if that goal doesn't go in, if they don't get that goal, it changes the complexion of the tie completely.
Absolutely.
I think that is something for Dortmund to have hope about, and especially being at home in the second leg with their fans behind them, and as we've seen over the years, anything can happen in the Champions League. You don't have to be the best team in the world, you just have to show up in those games. And Dortmund, to their credit, they showed up in that second leg. They went 2-0 up, they kind of went ahead in the tie, and then Simeone made some changes. We saw Atletico back at 2-2. And then at that point we're kind of thinking maybe Atletico will do the job. But credit to Dortmund, they kept going and they got 2 more goals, and I think for me that was probably the biggest surprise of all of the ties, was that Dortmund went through ahead of Atletico. And I know we were both saying before on the last episode how Atletico as a neutral would probably be the team that we would have rooted for if Chelsea's not there, but I got to say I'd love to see Dortmund go all the way at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised because I really saw Atletico Madrid go through. I think Dortmund just, at home they played really well because as you were saying, 2-0 for a long time in the game, like 75 minutes, and then Sebastian Haller just comes and kind of saves the day for Dortmund, and then at this point it's 2-1 instead of 2-0.
Yeah.
So you cannot expect the Atletico to just come park the bus at Signal in Duna Park for 90 minutes, because they're gonna be okay. If you park the bus, then anything can happen. Because now they're gonna be like try to actually score goals, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then Dortmund just took advantage of playing at home and had a really good game. You know, they won 4-2. So that's like, it's not like, oh, they just got lucky or whatever. They actually they've actually dominated Atletico Madrid, which I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
No, that was a surprise.
And they go on and win the game 4-2, and I think they deserve to go through. I think that's the one that we didn't see that coming, because I thought it was going to be two low scoring games, you know, over the two legs, because there are teams that don't really score goals, and then Dortmund scored 4 at home, which is like, wow, that was crazy in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And I think they deserve to win that, and they deserve to win. And as you were saying, like, I mean, Dortmund, it would be nice for them to win the Champions League. They haven't won it since 1996, I believe.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
Late 1997, I think. Late 90s. That's when they won.
About right,
the last time they won the Champions League. So that's like, I was a baby at that time. I mean, we were both babies at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy how things are. That's the magic of the Champions League. You know, there's always that tie that you think, okay, the other team's gonna win, and then it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next.
Well, and I think it was about as entertaining and exciting of a Champions League quarterfinal over the 2 legs for all the games as what we could have expected, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah, it did not disappoint at all.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a quick break here, and then we will preview the semi-finals. All right, we are back, and we are previewing the semi-finals. So, we're kind of fortunate because there's not much time in between the quarterfinals being done and the semi-finals starting. We're kind of at that point in the season where there's a lot of games coming, and we got some really very, very good, exciting semi-final ties. Shall we start with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich?
This is a big game, man. Those are 2 teams that are used to being at this stage of the Champions League, and it's gonna be exciting. That's the game that everybody's gonna want to watch over the other game. But yeah, man, I'm predicting. I don't know, man. I'm not very good at predictions. I mean, we got 2 out of 4, but I feel like, I don't know why, I just feel like Bayern is gonna win this tie. I don't think it's gonna be close, at least in my opinion, because I just think that Real Madrid is not gonna have a good semifinals, to be honest. I don't think they've been very convincing against Manchester City. They struggled. They showed their weaknesses, and Thomas Tuchel has a good record against them, against Real Madrid. Whenever he was a Chelsea coach, we beat them with him. So I just feel like, just because of that, I don't see necessarily a close game, not a comfortable game either, but I feel like it's gonna be like, I see Bayern Munich going to the final. Over this time. Cool. What about you?
Yeah, well, I think what I do want to say is, I agree with you what you're saying about Thomas Tuchel. I think he has shown that he knows what he's doing in the Champions League. He's the only coach to get PSG to the final in recent years. Obviously won it with Chelsea, could go with Bayern as well. I mean, I do think, even though Bayern Munich have struggled domestically this season, Thomas Tuchel is still a very good coach. But I think for the first time, I might have to disagree with you on this one. Okay. Real Madrid just have something about them that they are the team for the Champions League. I think if Bayern Munich were at their strongest, I'd feel differently. But I think because, at least for me personally, because Bayern have struggled domestically, and because they're kind of in this transitional period where we do know Tuchel's leaving at the end of the season. We don't really know who the manager's going to be next season. There's still some questions to be answered. Real Madrid, Ancelotti, he's a winner. Mm-hmm. They've got players in that team that just know how to navigate these Champions League games. Again, I don't see Real Madrid losing at home. They don't lose many games at home in the Champions League. They didn't lose to Man City, even though that was kind of they came close to losing to Man City, but they didn't. Yeah. I don't know. For me, there's just something about that team that it's in their DNA to win the Champions League and to win Champions League ties. And you know, I would love to see Bayern win personally, but I just don't think it's going to happen. That's personally.
That's the thing. It's always risky to bet against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Like no matter what stage it's on, it's always a bad idea. But I don't know. I just that'll be my prediction. I feel like Bayern has what it takes to beat Real Madrid, and especially after watching the game against Manchester City, I just feel like they're missing something, and I think it's Mbappe, to be honest.
Yeah,
they're missing that guy that's gonna come in and like make sure they win those games no matter what, and they don't have him yet. So I feel like Bayern Munich, this is the motivation. It's probably like the last chance for Neuer and Thomas Muller and all the other players to win the Champions League. The older players to win the Champions League, and Thomas Tuchel too. Maybe he's actually. I mean, you never know. Like Mourinho hasn't won the Champions League since 2010, so this might be his last chance of winning it. Even though I don't think it's gonna be his last chance, but still, he's gonna want to prove a point that he's a winner.
Yeah,
and he's gonna give everything, and he has the track record of like against Real Madrid of like really creating problems for them with Chelsea already, and even with PSG when he was a manager with PSG.
Yeah.
So he has the experience of he knows what it takes to win the Champions League. So I just feel like just because of Thomas Tuchel and then the fact that Bayern Munich they got humiliated for this in the standards, because like the second Bundesliga, like it's not a bad position, but for them it's like terrible. It's like being last place for them.
Yeah.
So just because of all those factors, I feel like they're gonna give everything, and like I think they are what it takes to beat.
I definitely think it is going to be a close game. I think probably in the back of Harry Kane's mind, he's thinking, I don't want to see all of the memes about the Kane curse. Because unfortunately for him, it just kind of seems to be, we seem to be presented with more evidence that that might be true.
You can take a man out of Tottenham, but you cannot take a Tottenham out of a man. I hope not, because you know, and I would love England to win the Euros if possible. But yeah, or like even, I mean, yeah, we'll see. But I think he deserves a trophy one day, and I feel like he's gonna be the greatest of his life. Imagine like on social media going on Instagram, because I follow him on Instagram. But on Instagram, it's like, oh, my first trophy. I feel like that post is probably gonna be blown up. Like everybody's gonna be finally, man. And if it's the Champions League, then he's gonna shut everyone's mouth. He's gonna be like, okay, I won the Champions League, like the biggest trophy possible for a club. So
well, and let's be honest, if he stays at Bayern Munich for another couple of seasons, he's gonna win the Bundesliga.
Oh, he's gonna win something.
It just is the way it is. Bayern.
It was still the best choice for him, you know, to leave Tottenham. Because Tottenham is not gonna. I don't know when they're gonna win something, man.
He definitely had served Tottenham well. I think he had earned the right to leave and go somewhere else. And you know, Bayern Munich is going to be able to give consistent Champions League football, something that Tottenham don't necessarily have the ability to offer. I don't know. I'd love for him to win. You know, obviously as an England fan, I'd love for him to win the Champions League as well. Kind of going into the Euros, England's captain, being a Champions League winner. I think that would set us off well. But you know, obviously, Jude Bellingham too for Real Madrid. One of those two. I mean, those are probably England's two crucial players for the Euros, and you know, one of those two is going to be in the final.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So PSG Dortmund is the other semi-final. What do you think? How do you see that one going?
I think it's going to be a very exciting game. But I'm just going to be PSG. I'm not going to even like think twice about it. I mean, Dortmund is the underdog here. And I hope they prove me wrong for them for their sake. I hope that they prove me wrong. But if I had to bet on this, I think that PSG is going to go through. Real Madrid, Mbappe's last season there. And, you know, they've been chasing after the Champions League for years. And, you know, I think they're going to win it, to be honest. Mbappe is going to give everything he has. And also, they have a really good track record against Dortmund. They are the team that really, like, takes them out of the Champions League pretty much every time they play against each other. So just because of that, I will go with PSG. And I think Mbappe is going to try to do something. And Dembele, too. They're going to probably try to cook something interesting,
I think on this one I do have to agree with you as well. Again, Dortmund are the underdogs. As much as I'd love to see them in the final, I just don't see it happening. They've done extremely well to get to the semi-final, and they can be very proud of their Champions League run this season. But I just don't see it happening with, like you said, Dembele, Mbappe, even Vitinha. He scored twice, once in each leg in the last round. They've got players that can make a difference, and Dortmund do as well. But you just feel, or I just feel that PSG they're going to be the favourites because of their team. I mean, on paper they have the better squad, they have the better manager. I mean, Luis Enrique, he's been there and done it before as Barcelona manager. So, I'd be surprised if Bayern go through, but I'd love to see it. It'll be not Bayern, Dortmund.
It's Real Madrid against Bayern. So I feel like it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
But I think PSG is gonna go through. I think what we have on our list next is like what final will be more interesting.
Yeah.
And I honestly think Real Madrid against PSG, I would love to see the final, because that'll be I don't know how to say that. It's like he's about to leave for the team and he's gonna like either lose the Champions League to them, or win against them.
Yeah.
And like just to rub you in the face and be like, haha, I won it.
I think that's the matchup that is probably going to be the most fun to watch as a neutral as well. Just two huge teams in European football going head to head in a Champions League final. It's just kind of what you want from the Champions League.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Obviously, if it's Bayern and PSG, that would be a repeat of that COVID season final, where Bayern won 1-0 in that final. That one would be a hard one to call, I think. Chance for PSG to get some revenge, maybe.
Wow, that would be a good one too. The revenge, and also Thomas Tuchel, he coached PSG.
Yeah.
And if he beats them again, oh my god, like that'll be embarrassing for PSG.
Yeah.
I feel like the owners are just gonna they're gonna just be so upset about that. But that'll be a really good final. But I think we both agree that it's gonna be Real Madrid against Real Madrid. PSG will be probably the most exciting final.
Yeah.
And then Bayern Munich, and obviously Dortmund and Bayern Munich will be interesting too, because it's like, it's an all-German final, just like in 2013 at Wembley too.
Yeah.
So that'll be very interesting.
That would be a repeat. That would be, obviously Dortmund have beaten Bayern in Bundesliga this year.
Yeah.
They won 2-0 just a few weeks ago, I think. So they can beat them.
I just think that if Real Madrid goes to the final, even though I predicted Bayern Munich, you can just
Real Madrid's gonna win.
Because I don't see Real Madrid going to the final. I mean, in my lifetime, I've never seen. I could correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen Real Madrid lose a Champions League final. I mean, I know I'm not that old.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be old to some people watching.
I don't remember seeing them lose Champions League. I mean, when they get to the final, they don't lose. They don't lose.
So like, I don't see them losing again. So do everything you can to Bayern Munich. If you don't want Real Madrid to win the Champions League again, you have to do everything you can, because if they go to the final, they're probably gonna win it.
Yeah.
I think we both agree. I mean, not agree. We both agree, at least for the PSG and Dortmund game. We think that PSG is probably going to be beating Dortmund.
And then we'll see which one of us is right. Because only one of us is going to be right this time on the other one. Should we talk just very briefly about the Club World Cup that's coming up as well? More of the European teams that are qualified for that.
So we're gonna just do a quick recap. So we have Chelsea, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Inter, Porto, Benfica, Dortmund, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, and Strasbourg. I don't even know why they're there.
I don't know why they're there either, but
they
must have earned it. We'll have to look into that.
Imagine if they win it all. That would be funny.
Yeah.
The first actual Club World Cup. But just a reminder to all our subscribers is that all people that just joined the podcast is that the Club World Cup is going to be different next year, because usually they have just the winners of each cup
like
continental cups.
Yeah.
The winner of the Champions League, the winner of the Libertadores, CONCACAF Champions League, all of that, and they have like 7 teams playing it.
Yeah.
On a neutral ground. But this time it's going to be here in the United States. It's going to be 32 teams. That's going to be exciting, honestly. And then we have our club, Chelsea, that that is there because we won it in 2021.
Yeah.
One of the 2 English clubs there, with Manchester City, of course, that won in 2023 last year. So, and obviously Real Madrid, like you can call it the Club World Cup, whatever, Real Madrid, it doesn't matter. They're always there. And then Barcelona missed out of it because they didn't beat PSG.
Yeah. Well, Barcelona, I think, as we talked about earlier, they've had their struggles over the last few years, and they're kind of on the way back up. But I think that's why. And then Arsenal missing out as well. I think again, maybe if this is 2 or 3 years down the line, maybe they'd be in a better position to qualify. Yeah. And I think we are lucky as Chelsea fans that Thomas Tuchel performed a miracle for us in 2021.
Let's be honest. Yeah, we're the underdog the whole time.
So without that, we wouldn't be anywhere near this Club World Cup. But I think it's going to be good. It'll be interesting to see kind of the new format, more what we're used to with the international teams World Cup, with the groups and the knockouts and those kind of things. It's going to be here in the US as well.
We are very lucky to have like all those tournaments in the United States. Yeah. We have the Copa America this summer, then we have the Club World Cup, and then you have the biggest tournament ever, the World Cup, the actual World Cup that will be here in the US. Most of the games are actually going to be here, so very excited about this. What a time to live in the United States, to be honest. Yeah. We're very lucky. But yeah, it's going to be exciting, I think. I mean, obviously we're not going to go into that too much because it's a year from now, so a lot of things can happen in a year. But I'm really happy to have Chelsea there. It's a pride for us to be there, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Okay, but last but not least, we're going to talk about the FA Cup. For those that don't know, it's the domestic cup in England.
Yeah.
And all the teams in England play, and at the time of this recording, Chelsea just lost against Manchester City. What a sad game for us Chelsea fans.
We it's still very fresh in the memory. We were watching it here, and we had the chances to win the game. We didn't take our chances. It's becoming a very familiar pattern for Chelsea of having a lot of chances, not taking chances, not being able to win games, and conceding late. And it's disappointing. I think we both, watching that game, we both felt that was a very winnable game for Chelsea.
Absolutely.
I think we played well, really, overall. We'll get to talking about Chelsea in another episode in more detail, but I think I feel like Mauricio Pochettino, Chelsea coach's in-game management is not great. I think we could both tell, we were sat here saying we need to bring on a sub earlier, and it was 75th minute before we saw the first substitution. And then, the rest of the subs that came on, I think, was after the goal was scored by Man City. So, I don't think Man City played particularly at their best in that game, but they got the job done, and that's what they do. And they'll be in the final. Oh yeah, we have
I can have a lot of regrets. I think that it was a good game if you look at it. We played really well. We played put a performance that was really well, but we just didn't finish our chances, and it's sad. Nicola Jackson just wasn't able to finish. He has so many chances in this game. He should have put at least one in. And then all the players. Palmer wasn't able to really play well. I felt like City had a gameplay against him. Yeah. And they managed it really well. And then obviously he's not gonna score a hat trick against Manchester City. Yeah. It's Manchester City. And not that he cannot, but obviously it's be really hard to do. But unfortunately, but I feel like we deserve more based on the chances we created. Yeah. And if you watch the whole game, you can see that Chelsea deserved to win to go through, but we just were not able to finish. And then they had a very lucky bounce, and then they scored and they won. But they did what they had to do to go to the final.
Yeah.
And yeah, now to be able to be in the Europa League next season, we just have to finish top 6. We have to. Yeah, I mean, we're only 3 points away with a game in hand, but it's not given.
Yeah, we still have to play Arsenal, Aston Villa, Tottenham, teams kind of all ahead of or around us that we're probably not going to be favourites for, but we have tended to perform better this season against teams that are better than us than teams below us in the table, which is kind of strange, but...
You're the Robin Hood of the league, man.
I know, yeah.
We give it to the poor and, fight the rich.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Robin Hood.
It's crazy, yeah. So the other semi-final in the FA Cup, lastly here, is Man United and Coventry.
Yeah.
I think that one's probably one of the easiest FA Cup semi-finals to predict in a long time. Man United have not been great this season. The last couple of seasons, really, but they were it was a Manchester Derby final last season. I think it's very much looking like it's going to be that way again this season.
Yeah, I feel like they are definitely. I don't see United losing, but if they do, I mean, which I'm sorry, United fans, but as a Chelsea fan, I would love for you guys to lose. But if they lose, this is going to be very embarrassing, and just don't let that happen. And plus, Onana is from Cameroon, and even though he plays for United, I want what's best for him. We have to support any African player.
Yeah.
But just don't manage. Don't find a way to lose. Come on, it's Coventry. Just try to beat them. But I definitely see a final, Manchester Derby final, and I think City has it. To be honest, I think City will win it all.
I think if we'd have been able to take our chances today and beat Manchester City, I think Chelsea Man United would have been a much more open final. I mean, for us, it would have been heart attack final. Nerves all over the place. But I think Man City, they just know how to get the job done. And Manchester United, they'll put up a good fight, but they're not at the same level. So we will see. That game is tomorrow as we record. So by the time this episode comes out, you all will know the result of that, and you'll know what the FA Cup final is going to be. But we're just speculating, and I think if we are wrong, and if Coventry do make it, that'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
I mean, also just for them as a championship team in the league below the Premier League to get to an FA Cup final. I mean that doesn't happen often. It's something, and especially I think since the Premier League became what it is, and the amount of money that we have in the Premier League, and the global exposure of it, for a team in the league below to get to the final, to beat all these other Premier League teams together, that would just be an amazing story as well.
Absolutely.
But it would be probably the shock of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be very, very. It'd be amazing, honestly, to see that happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would love to Coventry to win it all. I think I'm a Coventry fan as of today, right now. If they win it all, I mean, that'll be the best thing ever for them. And being the Europa League as a championship team, that'll
be crazy.
That'll be huge. So
we'll see how it goes.
Yep, we'll see how it goes. So we have another 45 days pretty much left in this season. I feel like it's gonna be an exciting end of the season. With everything going on. I think we're gonna be talking about the title race soon. Not just in England, mostly in England, of course, but in La Liga, Syria. I know that some tournaments, like the French league, is probably already done. PSG is definitely gonna win this league already. But I mean, at the beginning of the season, I'm sure we'll have said that Bayern was gonna win the whole thing, but something happened, and what a team that won the league. But yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting with everything going on before the summer. I'm looking forward to watching all those games, and then coming back here and talking about that.
Yeah. Next time we'll be, like you said, talking about kind of what we call the run-in in England of those last few games of the season, not just in the Premier League but all over, and There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah, thank you.